Okay, so today I'm joined with David Wood, the Chief Executive of the ARCHIE Foundation. David, how are you? How has lockdown been for you? Are you doing all right? Has it been different, or what have you learned?
Yeah, no, it's been different without doubt. It's an unusual time. I guess personally, I've been getting used to working at home more, and it's been difficult for the charity as well because we've had to cancel all the events program for this year. So that means you lose the money that's coming in. So it's been completely different, with many of the team as well having to be furloughed as well, and working from home. So just completely different, completely different.
I did notice that quite a few of you are working from home and things like that, so it's a lot to deal with. But how have you kind of dealt with that? Because I know there's a few things online that you've been doing with the ARCHIE Foundation just to try and get a little bit more money. So what kind of things have you been doing over the last kind of 4 or 5 months?
Well, we've had to look at how we fundraise. As I said before, we cancel all the events. So we normally have all these fun activities like, battle the badges when we have, the police force against the fire brigade, and you have children who are in the hospital as mascots. And so that sort of thing we just can't do. And we hope we'll do that next year. But this year we've had to do, online fundraising, and you've been involved in a couple of things done for us as well. We had a couple of quizzes that you kindly hosted for us, and they worked really well. And we're also launching, some virtual challenges as well, so people can fundraise for us, virtually and online, as opposed to doing a proper cycle or a real cycle, but cycle miles online and do it that way, or do walks that way as well, or swims, or marathons, etc., and just doing online fundraising. So it's just a different approach.
Yeah, we've all had to change our approach and move things online and do things differently. So for those of us who don't know, then we'll go back to the beginning. What does the ARCHIE Foundation do? What do you, how do you raise money? Who do you raise money for?
Well, we work really close. Well, in Aberdeen in particular, we work very closely with NHS Grampian, and what we try and do is we try and support sick children, and then also through the Friends of the Neonatal Unit, we support babies as well in the neonatal unit. And we also have what's called Grampian Child Bereavement Service, which is supporting children that suffered bereavement. But we do it in a number of different ways. One of the key things we do is we have a grant application process. So if a family is struggling for money or income, because quite often what can happen is a child can become ill and they need to come to hospital for an operation or an emergency, or they might need to come back week after week, or they may need to stay in for a long period of time. So we have a grant application process whereby we'll support families who are struggling to cope financially and being impacted not just by their child's health, but also by the fact that they've had to give up work, because they might be on 0 hours contract, or they might have to give up working to support their child. So we'll provide grants for that. And we also have, parents' accommodation or family accommodation within the Children's Hospital in Aberdeen. So a parent can stay over in the hospital, if their child is in for a day or a night or a week, then we provide accommodation, which again is free, and we've built that up through support that we've had from, corporates and families and individuals in Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire. And so we provide that free accommodation, and it's just taking pressure off people when when they've got really, really difficult challenges in life.
I know, and I suppose all of this stuff has probably been a little bit harder through lockdown because there's people who haven't been able to see certain family members, and if people are shielding and things like that, it must be really tough. So how have you dealt with that side of things?
Yeah, well, it's been really tough for people as well. So what we've done is, in the short term, we've just been focusing on giving as much support we can to families. We also support the NHS through providing monies for grants for training, or if they need to go away and get additional specialist learning, either abroad or down south or in Glasgow. But we've put a halt on that in the short term because we're really trying to divert the monies we do have to support children and families. And it's really key that we do that because people are under complete pressure at this point in time. Yeah. So it's been a very difficult time.
Much more difficult for you guys to earn as much money as you can, because it sounds like it goes a lot of places. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's one of these perfect storms because the fundraising routes have dried up, so there's less money coming in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's more need for what we do. So there's more need to support the NHS and to support, families who are going through difficult times, or, there's redundancies, there's people getting laid off, and that's going to carry on in the foreseeable future. So there's a greater need for what we do, and at the same time, there's less events happening and less income coming in through the traditional routes. So we've really had to look at how we work, and that goes going back to what I was saying about online activities and fundraising that way, and doing things like quizzes and virtual challenges, and just having these, increasing our engagement with our key supporters as well. But we also have to remember that a lot of our key supporters are under pressure as well. It's not a great time in Aberdeen itself with oil and gas, and the impact of that too. So it's a difficult period all round. So it's very much just trying to work together and be innovative and be creative. But again, always having, children and families at the forefront of our thinking.
Yeah, you know what? That's a really good way of putting it, because it is such a difficult time for everybody. I mean, even those who were really secure before, I mean, it's scary times. So if we can come together as much as possible and raise money. I know you do stuff across Tayside, you do Highlands as well. So if there's one thing we can do, somebody watching this thinking, I'd really like to give some money, or I'd really like to do something that you're doing, how can we get involved with what ARCHIE is doing? I know that you've got these little mascots that you can paint and things like that, can't you, right now?
Yeah, they're paint your own Ur Willies, they're called. And we had, if you remember last year, we had the big bucket trail, where we had, in conjunction with Glasgow and Edinburgh Children's Charities, we had 200 sculptures throughout Scotland. So this is kind of it's a smaller scale venture of that, whereby someone can purchase a paint your own Ur Willie, which is just for £20, and then effectively they can paint their own, and recreate one of the sculptures we had, or do their own thing with it as well. So it's very much just trying to extend the value of what we got out of Bucket Trail. But if people want to help us, really just go onto our website, www.archie.org, and look at how you can help. And you could either, provide us with some money, or give us a donation, or get involved in some of our online activities. But it's very much, if you can help us, then that's great. But we know that not everyone can do at this point in time. And we're spending quite a lot of time at the moment putting applications into trusts and foundations as well. So trying to raise money through different routes to support the core activities, and that's the point we're trying to make with trusts and foundations, that there's increased demand for our services, but at the same time there's less money coming in. So we have to be very clever with what, how we're moving forward. So the more support we can garner, the better. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, so head to your website, and same goes if anyone wants to join and help as a volunteer and things like that then?
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone wants to volunteer for us help, then either can get in touch with me, or just go through the website and do that. We're keen for us, any assistance we can have is wonderful. And volunteers play a huge important role in all the activities that we do.
Plus, you get a cool yellow T-shirt too. You get
there you do. Yeah. No, we've got plenty of yellow T-shirts, which is great. And actually, every time when I'm in town or somewhere out, if something yellow catches my eye, I always turn and look to see if it's an ARCHIE T-shirt. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not.
I've got. Sorry, David. I was going to tell you, I've got these mad, crazy, bright yellow Vans that would work perfectly with the T-shirt in coordination. So.
Yeah. Oh no, but there's actually something wonderful about when you see someone wearing an ARCHIE T-shirt and you don't know who they are, and I'll quite often go up to them and say hello, and they think I'm this strange guy just coming up saying hello, and then I end up saying, where do you get your T-shirt from? What's the background to that? But it's always lovely just to find out, it's probably someone that supported us or had an event at home. And again, that's another way of supporting us, that, have a party at home and fundraise for ARCHIE, have a dinner if you can do that with, say, 6 people, or, with social distancing best practice, but, have events at home. It's very much we're looking for people to support us remotely to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's all sorts of, like, you can bake the cakes and all sorts of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baking cakes, you know, going for runs, you know, or going for a, you know, doing a bike ride in your front room, anything like that is wonderful. And, you know, keeping fit at the same time.
Yeah.
But going back to those t-shirts, one of the best yellow t-shirts we've got is that we also fund a play leader in the hospital as well. So that's an NHS role that we fund that the NHS wouldn't fund because they don't see it as core. But the play leader basically supports children who are in hospital, you know, and tries to distract them, you know, prior to operation, or, you know, it could be that there's, you know, a child in hospital and the siblings there at the same time as well. And it's very much just being family orientated. And, you know, we've got a play leader with one of the ARCHIE t-shirts on that just lets people know who are in hospital very much what we do.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I've seen the operation that you guys do in the hospital and things like that, and it's just, I think it makes them feel a little bit more at home. There's a lot of, you know,
Yeah.
it's a scary thought to go in there. I mean, I know that
Yeah.
if I was in hospital, I would like to go to the children's ward because it's so colourful and there's toys and
Yeah.
things like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you do, and you notice a big difference when you walk through to ARI that it's not quite as, you know, colourful and bright. And yeah, we just try to make it more appealing, or try to make it more homely, if that's the right way, more interesting. And it's distraction as much as anything else. But what we do is we provide, you know, toys and equipment and games. You know, and we have an office on the ground floor as well, just as you come into the children's hospital. And again, that's the centre of our activity as well. And we very much just try to put children at ease, and, you know, and that's also where we attract most of our volunteers as well, is
Yeah.
through families coming in and children having been in hospital, or families staying in parents' accommodation wanting to give us something back. And
Yeah.
that's where we get, you know, an awful lot of our money comes through that route. And it's just people and relationships.
Yeah, do you know, I did come in. It was way before COVID had hit us, and there is a play thing in the middle for all the kids, and there was a massive party, and we came with the North Sound One mics and things, and the Archie Foundation had this huge little party for all these people, pizzas and sausage rolls, and all these kids coming in playing with the sand pits and things and fishing for the nets. I was just like, oh, this is what, you know, it shouldn't be, but it's just so much nicer for them, you know. So you're doing a
Yeah, no,
cracking job.
well, it makes it. Well, thank you. It's very kind of you. But it's really it's the NHS and it's the team and it's our volunteers that make it, and it's all about teamwork. But going back to what you were saying, this end of last year, we put an application into the Morrison Foundation in terms of Morrison Supermarket, and we're fortunate enough to get the money for that. So there's a new play area at the front of the hospital, like a play park,
Yeah.
you know, that we were going to launch in the spring with a big jamboree and invite everybody to come, but then obviously we couldn't do that, you know. So it's been quietly opened when we've been able to, you know. But that's the sort of thing that we do, and it's just to make coming to hospital, you know, more interesting, or more exciting, or less daunting. You know, and that's also why we have those, you know, the big giraffes at the front door and the elephants, and we have a lion as well, you know, just to try and make it a bit more exciting for children and memorable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, Celebrate Aberdeen is not happening this year, which we're all really sad about. So we won't be able to parade down Union Street, unfortunately. But if there's one thing, David, that you love about Aberdeen, what is it?
Well, it's just the people. People are wonderful. You just want to work with them. You want to support them, you know, and they've got big hearts. And the people of Aberdeen, they love Aberdeen and Aberdeenshire, and very much. I think we want to keep things local. So in terms of, you just think of pure fundraising as well, people want to support something local. So any money that's raised locally in Aberdeen remains in Aberdeen. But it's really the people, and we've just got wonderful people up here with big hearts, and that makes such a, you know, a huge difference to what we do. And then we try to make a big difference on the back of that, and hopefully we do.
You do, of course you do. That's it, and I think that's the whole reason. And everyone I've asked have said pretty much the same thing. It's the people, the community, how we stick together, and it's needed now more than ever, I think.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. You know, and Celebrate Aberdeen's been great as well. We've been very fortunate the last 2 years. We've won, large charity of the year, that Celebrate Aberdeen as well.
Yeah.
Which has been wonderful. And I think a lot of, last year, I think on the back of what we did with the Really Big Bucket Trail, and the pleasure that children got in, going round not just Aberdeen, but also Dundee and Inverness and down to Glasgow and Edinburgh as well. And that was wonderful for us, and it was wonderful over the summer for children to do something. And the good thing was that it was also free as well. So
Yeah.
it wasn't an expensive day out to trail around the city looking for Ur Willie and getting pictures taken with Ur Willie. So that was absolutely wonderful, and it was a great way that we raised money too.
Yeah, I would have said the only thing is that it wasn't just children, it was actually mostly adults as well, having a great time.
I know, and often you see someone showing you some pictures and things. There's so many times there's an Ur Willie in there, with someone having a selfie with an Ur Willie. It was wonderful. No, it was great. And you're right, it was as much adults as it was children.
I did
But the beauty of that.
Of getting them on Instagram. I had them on my Instagram page because I was trying to find them all. Trying to find them, mad.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. So we were very fortunate that was last year, not this year. Because it had been this year, obviously, it had been really difficult. They wouldn't have made such a big difference to us. But it was absolutely wonderful. And and again, that's just trying to do innovative things, trying to do different things to, to raise money, because we need to be, we need to have, different techniques to bring in money into the charity.
Yeah.
But we've always got to remember that all we're trying to do is support, sick children and families in need. And it's making sure that's at the forefront of people's thinking as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your chat today, and hopefully,
No problem.
hopefully we can do Celebrate Aberdeen next year.
I hope so. That would be great, and hopefully we can carry on making a difference in the same way you do, Lauren.
Yes. Thank you so much, David. It was great.